This podcast is sponsored by LAMPROBE. LAMPROBE is a popular aesthetic tool that enables skincare practitioners to rapidly treat a wide variety of common minor skin irregularities, or MSI. Red MSI treated by LAMPROBE include dilated capillaries and cherry angiomas, yellow MSI, cholesterol deposits and sebaceous hyperplasia, and brown MSI treated include skin tags and more. LAMPROBE MSI treatments are non-invasive and deliver immediate results. LAMPROBE can empower your skin practice with these new and highly in-demand services. For more information, visit lamprobe.com. That's LAMPROBE.com. And follow LAMPROBE on social media at LAMPROBE.
Hello and welcome to ASCP Esty Talk. I'm Ella Cressman, a licensed esthetician, certified organic skincare formulator, international educator, and content contributor for Associated Skincare Professionals.
I'm Maggie Staszcuk, licensed esthetician and ASCP's education program manager.
We have a shout out. I'm so excited about this shout out. So about a month ago, I was at my cousin's wedding, and the long story short is, I'm a makeup artist. Let me rephrase, I was a makeup artist. I retired. I had the best wedding ever in Memphis, Tennessee. It's going out on top. I threw everything away. And then a couple years later, my cousin called and she's like, "Can you do my makeup and my hair?" I'm like, "Okay." Bought a bunch of stuff, went to that wedding, gave it away to the other makeup artist there. I'm like, "Here, take it." And then 2 weeks later, my other cousin, "Can you do my hair and makeup for my wedding?" So long story short, I have one cousin left that I will do her hair and makeup for her wedding. But this was the second to the last. And I love this family. This family is the only one I'll do it for. But anyways, very, very special to me. So we are in Austin, Minnesota, getting ready. And I meet Mariah Ramos. And she is there doing everybody else's hair and makeup. And she's so cute. So she works at a med spa in the Austin, Minnesota town. And I had a great time with her. Super talented, super sweet. So I want to say hi, Mariah. Nice to meet you. And thank you for listening to Esty Talk. So it was a good time. Next time we go, you'll have to come.
Yes, I would love to come.
Okay, cool. So do you remember, before we get into today's subject, did you ever see The Devil Wears Prada?
Of course, many times.
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
Do you remember that part where Meryl Streep's character, Miranda Priestly, she goes off on him? Well, I guess she goes off on a couple times, but Anne Hathaway's character she ends up scoffing at them because they're going, "I don't know which belt, this one or that one." And she goes, because they look both the same. So Miranda Priestly said something to the effect of, "Oh, something funny." And she's like, "Well, they look pretty much like the same thing. I'm just learning about this stuff." And then she launches in on her and says, one of my favorite quotes. But long story short, this part I just want to share with you. She said, "This stuff? Oh, okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you don't take yourself too seriously and care about what you put on your back." So she goes into explaining that lumpy blue sweater. She doesn't even understand that there's a correlation between these trends that were set, that it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually Cerulean blue. And that Cerulean blue was a result of Yves Saint Laurent, who showed it in a military jacket on the couture runway. And then it kind of took off, this trend, translated. And she said, and then it trickled down into something tragic like Casual Corner, where you no doubt fished it out in some clearance bin. You remember that part?
I do. Yeah.
I loved that part because she was like, "Oh no, you don't even know that you are in on this too, even though you're scoffing at it." So it made me think, because we often see other trends, whether food, care, fashion, they end up in aesthetics, or vice versa. Aesthetic trends will influence the world. But we focus a lot on perceived trends, what's coming up, what's going to be popular, and don't really consider where they're coming from. And the truth is, a lot of it's coming from manufacturers, whether it's product manufacturers or ingredient suppliers. They're the ones that are driving the trends. But one thing that we don't consider is what do the professionals really think about those trends? Once they get there, once they're mainstream, what do the pros think? So, of course, I'm creeping. I feel like I have to keep you in the loop. I'm creeping on social media and I come across this post that I thought was hilarious. It reminded me of this scene. So what they posted, and I have to give credit to who it is, but it's from an esthetician's point of view regarding trends. So it's from the Facebook group, Esthetician Support Group. And I can't take credit again. It's Danny McKnight. So she posted back in November, so a while ago, what's everyone's least favorite skin trend right now? So if I had to ask you, think about right now or even a couple of months ago, what's your least favorite skin trend?
That is a really good question, Ella. I feel like there have been so many fleeting trends, and we've talked a lot about them in the past year. And I would have to say the ones that you just go, what? Like, snail mucin, or this probably wasn't 2024, but, contouring with your sunscreen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just those silly ones that as an esthetician, you go, what? That's not real.
Or the salmon one.
Yes.
The
or
salmon
the salmon one. Yeah.
Like, what is going on? Why is this one? So the results are in. So luckily, Danny did us a service and reported the results. She said there were over 250 comments. And before I get into the top 3, let's talk about the honorable mentions. Jelly masks. I could see that, like falling out of favor. Have you ever tried a jelly mask?
Yeah. I'm not a big masker, just as a whole. And I can see the fun behind them. And so, sure, they were trending for a while, but
No, I hated them. Let me tell you, they were not fun for me, either as a practitioner or a consumer. I think I'm a little claustrophobic. So I had a facial once where it went on and I was like, I wanted to pull it off. So not fun for me. And then when I bought all this stuff, I did one treatment.
Okay.
It was a mess. It was horrible. And then it went into the cupboard. I think it's still there. And I think it's probably expired. I don't even know. The next is brow laminations, tints, and airbrushing. What do you think about that?
First of all, I would not clump them all into the same category. I get it, but I love tinting. Tinting has been around for decades. I don't consider that a trend, and I think it'll always be something people do. Laminations, sure. I did not get into it. There's a few people that loved it. Kick it to the curb.
Out of Maggie's book. Out.
And then you said spray tanning.
Oh, airbrushing. I don't really
airbrushing.
know. Maybe airbrushing brows.
Okay. I don't know. To me, my mind went to tanning.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Brow lamination. I did see it work for one. This client had a cowlick in her eyebrow that made it go in. It was so severe that it made it look like she had a bald spot. So it worked for her. I never got one. I wanted to just so I could have that experience. But perming them up just feels a little counterintuitive for me. I always want to brush them to the side. But
yeah, I get that.
Okay. And then the last of the honorable mentions is kids, teenagers using skincare not suited for their skin.
We talked about that.
I think there's a plus and a minus here.
Is that a trend? I think that's the generation.
Yeah. Generational.
Yeah.
So for the generation, at least they're more aware of skincare, but they're not using the right thing. So something to think about. So are you ready for the top 3?
Tell me.
Number 3, at-home dermaplaning.
Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, dun, dun. I get it. AKA shaving your own face.
Okay, I do that. And I love it. And I will never stop.
Yeah. I don't see the big deal.
Ella's like, yeah.
Yeah. Don't stop, won't stop. Should stop. I don't know. You look good.
Oh, thanks, girl.
Maybe you know it. I think there's you know how to do it. That's awesome.
You look good.
Thanks.
I sit here every day on this podcast and think, look at that skin.
Okay, well, don't get too close because I do not shave my face every day.
Okay.
So I do have a mustache. In fact,
so maybe this is like proof in the pudding. I need to stop shaving my face.
Oh, stop. Don't stop.
Okay.
You look great.
Thank you.
Okay, next is glass skin. What about glass skin?
I don't know. I could go either way because there are some skin types where glass it up and you look beautiful and you're shiny and slick. And then other people where they look like a grease oven and they need to stop.
I tried to get it too, but I think for me, if you have glass skin, you're either oily or your barrier is like you've overexfoliated.
Yeah.
But I've also seen like the retinol face.
Yeah, but you know what? If you have a little baby doll face and it's glassy, it could be very pretty.
Sure, I think people are pretty, but I never thought the appeal of seeking that out.
Okay.
I guess. I think it's stupid.
Okay. Ella has spoken.
Crusty, rusty, Esty over here spoken. Are you ready for the number one?
Yeah.
Beef tallow.
Okay. You're going to tell us all about the beef tallow.
I will tallow.
And then I will weigh in.
Yeah, okay. So you don't want to tell us right now. So Kira, that works with me, she had reached out like us maybe 6 or 7 months ago. And she's like, what do you think about beef tallow? I was like, dumb. So dumb. Why would anybody want to do that? I knew that previously we had used beef tallow from rendering plants as society for cosmetics. I'm like, we're so beyond that. Why would we even want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, oh, it's all over TikTok. And I'm not on TikTok. I just watch the reels on Instagram. So I'm like, just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Well, guess what? I don't know if my algorithms were initiated or what, but I start seeing it more and more and more and hearing more and more about it. In fact, I was not alone. So beef tallow is making headlines, girl, let me tell you. Here are a few of my very favorites, and it's not just from TikTok. So Very Well Health, November 27, 2024. Here's the headline. Beef fat is the internet's new skincare obsession. Is it worth the hype? Ew. When you think about it that way, no thanks. Women's Health, August 2024. Is beef tallow really good for your skin? Here's what dermatologists think. Forbes magazine, December 2024. Beef tallow TikTok skincare trend. Here are the concerns. So we're starting to get into it. The Washington Post, November 2024. The latest skincare trend, beef fat. Yes, beef fat. And then my favorite is from Allure, also December 2024. Beef tallow skincare is a hard pass for dermatologists. So let's just talk about it. What is beef tallow? Why is everyone else thinking about it, talking about it, or considering it? So as I said, it's a traditional moisturizer. It's rendered from what they're going to tell you is grass-fed cattle, but it can be from any cattle. But a lot of these brands or companies are going to say it's, ethically sourced, which brings up another point I'm going to ask in a little bit. But it's been a staple in skincare for centuries. There aren't many peer-reviewed studies on it specifically examining the skin benefits, but there is still a lot of research on some of the aspects of it. Particularly if we look back in 2017, they're talking about the moisturizing properties of it. In 2023, we had another study from Skin Pharmacology and Physiology discussing the fatty acid compound and that's effect on the barrier function. So examining it, here's what we know. It's rich in fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, K, and E. And so we know all of those nourish the skin, promote repair, promote regeneration. Okay, right? Not that bad. And then it also replenishes the fatty acids in the skin. We're talking about oleic, palmitic, stearic, and linoleic acid. So these, again, are also supporting the barrier function, fortifying the skin's protective, which is everybody else is talking about that now too. For a long time, we were just, as I like to say, turning and burning it. And now we're really focused on protecting the barrier and not making the skin vulnerable. Here's another thing that's interesting is that it's similar to human sebum, and that's due to the fatty acid profile. So it closely mimics our natural oil. So if we're putting it on, that it should be well recognized, and when we're thinking about, even though it's heavy and it's thick, it shouldn't cause more oil production or less oil production. But this is why it's theorized to make an excellent moisturizer, especially for damaged skin. And we're thinking about compromise from overtreated, or we're thinking about maybe a lot more presentation of autoimmune effects on the skin in particular. So think about that. And then it's gentle and reported as non-comedogenic. So unlike some synthetic ingredients, it's not likely to clog your pores. You already know my thoughts on the comedogenic scale, but which I think is, listen, we have an episode, go back and check it. But this interesting because if you go back to those headlines, these dermatologists are like, no, it's comedogenic. It's absolutely going to cause breakouts in everybody's skin. It seems to be there's all or nothing.
I think my gut reaction, those headlines have it right. And we traditionally have had skincare products that are centered on plant-based fats, not animal fats, for many reasons. But all of these points that you have made about, rich in the vitamins and the fatty acids, and it's going to support the barrier, there are many ingredients that do that, not just beef fat. And I think I hope this is a fleeting trend. I believe that this is, maybe one person or a handful of people that said, well, we're using, XYZ ingredient over here. Let's try beef fat. However they came to that conclusion, I don't know. And it, started trending, went viral, and now everybody's in on it. And you're just smearing grease all over your face. Not to mention, this is not really a stable product. Would you pull fat off of your steak from the fridge? And this is going extreme, but would you do that and then spread it on your skin?
No.
And that's going to go rancid over time as well. All ingredients do, but that's going to go rancid. It's going to smell. It's not nice. Of course, it's comedogenic.
That's what they said. They said like one of the biggest drawbacks is the scent of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're putting it, again, it might be kind of stinky, but it works. And then I was talking to Kira again. I said, I think, this is an interesting subject. And she goes, yeah, on TikTok, or Reddit even, it worked for me. And somebody else is saying it didn't work for me. Well, of course not, because you have many different skin types. So nothing is going to work for everyone. But what I hear you saying is that you think this trend will be the Cerulean blue, like Miranda Priestly said, where it's like it came from somewhere. But is this really going to last? Like, is it going to die off? Hopefully, well, I'm not going to put my opinion in yet, but will it die off? I think so. I think you're right. Where it started from, it feels like just kind of digging back, I think that it started from I don't want to call them farmers market formulators, but for that. And maybe that's because that's where I got mine from.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what this makes me think of too is when you go to the farmers market and you can find all kinds of skincare products, lotions, soaps, you name it. And not just beef tallow, but goat's milk, for instance, or, fill in the blank, your farm to skin products, and beef tallow is one of them.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly. I think this is, let's just say that this is what happened. I think it was a farmer's market, farm to face product that some TikToker got a hold of, and it made it viral. And then people started adding it more and more and more and more. So I guess I have another question here. It's what happened to the vegan skincare movement? Because you just talked about goat's milk. There's other animal or mammalian byproducts coming out, which I never had a problem with. I love beeswax and honey. But so what happened to that?
Yeah, earlier when we were going through the headlines, what was going through my head is what's old is new again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is, I feel like. This is an ingredient that has been used probably for centuries. It's not new, but that's what trends are to some extent. It's something that has been around and now somebody discovers it. It becomes new again. Like, oh my God, did you know beef tallow will moisturize your skin? Yeah, we have known for 100 years.
But why did we stop? That's another question.
Yeah, because it's a trend. It comes and goes. And the trend that then entered was, let's be clean and green. Let's use plants instead. Plants are probably more sustainable. Plants are probably better for your skin. Plants don't smell like a steak smeared across your face.
Hopefully not a seasoned steak.
Yeah.
Garlic.
Right. That would smell better.
Yeah. So do you think the Esties in this non-official poll are not in favor because it started as a TikTok trend, or they don't want to smell like garlic steak?
Both.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned I tried it. because I don't shy away from a trend.
Yeah.
Let me try it. Guess where I got mine?
At the farmer's market.
At the farmer's market, pretty much. So it was this tallow balm. And I want to share my experience. This is my, there was no scientific studies done on this, but I feel like a good anecdotal experience is pretty relevant. So I got it and I was super pumped because I wear Birkenstocks. So we know that we in the Birkenstock Club know what that means.
That means you use beef tallow?
On my feet. It gets crunchy. You got to keep them soft and supple, but something about Birkenstocks.
I think that doubles down on the smell, Ella.
It's the beef tallow. No. But I started using it. And then throughout the fall, under socks at night, and my feet got more dry. It felt really good in the moment. And it felt really good for like a couple days. But my feet got super dry. And you know what I think?
Yeah, tell us.
It turned off my natural moisture factor. I think having that much compatible, like mimetic sebum on my feet was like, oh, we're good. We don't have to do our work anymore. Because that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I could totally agree with that. I mean, beef tallow is not the only ingredient that has the potential to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's other ones, like the key to me with any ingredient, or really, it's more about the formulation.
Yeah.
Because there should be some synergy in a formulation that's going to say this one ingredient and this one ingredient and this one ingredient. They make your body's systems, your skin function as an organ more efficiently.
Yeah.
And so I think just the single ingredient that I had, and I think maybe some orange essential oil, I don't know. But this single ingredient product didn't have that same synergy, that same holistic communication with my body. So my body's like, oh, we're good. We don't need to produce anymore. We're so good. So I returned to using my other body butter that has silk proteins in it, though that silk protein is going to encourage drawing moisture in, hydration in, and then encourage the rest of the synergy of that ingredients, encourage normal proliferation and different things. So by all reports, my skin is good. My feet are soft again. My husband's thankful. But I will not use a single ingredient beef tallow anymore. So there you have it. What do you think about that?
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that it would turn off your natural moisture factors and everything you just said. And I hope this is a trend that is fleeting and it goes quickly.
We'll see. Now, listeners, we really want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on beef tallow and skincare? Reach out via Instagram, Facebook, or send us an email at getconnected@ascpskincare.com. We want to know all the details. In the meantime, thank you for listening to ASCP Esty Talk. For more information on this episode, or for ways to connect with Maggie or myself, or to learn more about ASCP, check out the show notes. And stay tuned for the next episode of ASCP Esty Talk.